Are you audio on?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Okay.
All right. First of all, thanks for everyone just showing up tonight. And thank you to William for inviting us on. We appreciate the invite for sure. Glad to hear, you're using the software and getting fantastic results. That's what we would expect. So can I share my screen here?
Yes, sir.
You go ahead and enable that if you can, William. I'll share my screen too.
Give me 1 second.
Guys, what I'll do is I'll go through a quick slide deck to kind of give you just some of the big bullet points, so to speak, and then I'll dive in to the software, do a live demo, and then we can do a Q&A at the end if there's any questions. I will at the end for the people who are on here tonight and who take action tonight on the software. Like William said, he didn't ask for any affiliate commission. We're just going to give you our straight up pricing, but we will offer a bonus at the end for those who stick around and who decide to buy tonight. Just for instead of William taking a commission, we're just going to offer you guys all a bonus at the end if you guys decide that this is something for you. It's not going to be a sales pitch. I'm really going to just explain to you what we got. I'm going to first start out with how we got here in terms of what went into the strategy and the technology. I'll show you the technology, and
What's
then we'll
Big Head doing?
and then I guess if you guys can mute yourself on your end, that way everyone can hear. And then if you've got a question, type them into the chat, and then Matt can kind of go back and forth on chat. And then Matt can pipe in whenever you feel like it's necessary or a good spot to pipe in, Matt. William, if you want to stop me at any point, also just stop me. But I'll just I'll jump into it from here. All right, guys. So right from the get-go, what I want to share with you guys seeing my slide deck? Just give me I guess let me just do this too. Yep, give me a 1 in the chat if you're seeing my screen real quick. All right, good. Thanks, guys. All right, so I'm going to start off right from this front end slide. We built this to be a signal generation engine. So the name is Quantum Newswire. The name, it would indicate that we are a press release company. That's by design in some ways, because we want, by outward appearances, we just want to be one of those other press release companies. We don't want to really from the front end side, public facing side, if you will, indicate what we really are. But we really are a signal generation engine built for SEO. This is also, if you use Quantum Newswire, a phenomenal way to power up a WordPress site, power up a WordPress blog, especially if you've got old blog articles that have just been sitting there kind of stagnant. Repurposing these and supercharging them by running them through Quantum is going to be a phenomenal option to really send a lot more signals to the website and repurpose old blog articles that are on your WordPress blog using our WordPress plugin. So what is it? It's a cutting edge content marketing platform for authority, signal generation, and building each expertise, authority, and trust to achieve superior search visibility. So where did it come from? Matt and I had a generalist agency that I started back in 2010. And through the years, SEO was our bread and butter from the very beginning, really. That was how we built monthly recurring revenue in our agency. So SEO really was the #1 profit driver. So we needed to be really good at SEO, and we were really working year after year just to create more predictable results.
Mom said I got to pick tonight. I turn on.
Hi, he gets to pick.
He doesn't watch. Well, Mama said the show.
Someone's got to be muted. We're getting a lot of
Face, you
background
gotta
noise.
mute.
Whoever's got kids in the background, there you go. All right, so we were an SEO agency. We did websites, obviously, but SEO was the profit driver. We got really tired of a lot of other software out there that was just, we'd get into it for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks or whatever and just find all sorts of bugs. That was a really frustrating experience. We really focused our SEO strategy on 2 S's: syndication. We wanted to syndicate the original content And so syndicating content was really important, and then signal generation. And so what we did is we got started to building our own software in 2017, and we launched in 2018. So if what I did through 2013 to 2018 is we were using some other press release software services. You can see some of them on my screen here. We were using these services as part of our content syndication strategy for SEO. However, there were some just really big misses that I found in using these different services. Using press releases worked great. It was also nice for the ego factor and for some of the reputation management, and people like being published on some of these news sites. So that was great. But from an SEO standpoint, I saw diminishing return over the years, meaning it just got less and less effective. And I think we figured out really, really why. And that was because everyone here in this space traditionally is executing it completely wrong. Content syndication, and especially press releases by their very nature, is duplicate content. And so if you are not executing it properly, it can actually begin to hurt you, especially with more and more usage. And so what we did is we really flipped what these guys are all doing on its head. From an SEO standpoint, it didn't really make sense. And then we looked for all these different ways with a technology that we could send off more signals to Googlebot using the content being placed on authoritative news sites. So we're using press releases really as the vehicle to get our content onto authoritative news sites that will do well beyond what your normal guest post blog site would do. A guest post blog site might get you a DA of 50 or a DA of 35, 40, maybe 60 on the high end. These news sites are going to be DA 60 to 90. They're also getting millions of visits, thousands and tens of thousands of backlinks. So they're just in a completely different echelon than your normal blog article that you would get as a guest post. So we're using press releases as the vehicle to get quality content onto a news site. And then we're doing some really special things technology-wise to create also hundreds and hundreds of signals that will just ultimately result in better map pack rankings and better organic rankings. So what are we really doing here? Well, number one, like I said, we built this to be a signal generation engine. Googlebot is looking for signals. All right. So no matter how you do SEO, it's really, really easy if you think about it in terms of signals, right? So these Moz pie charts have been out for the better part of 7, 8, 9 years. I think they started doing them as early as like 2012, 2013, that annual local ranking factor study, and that they would put out these pie charts. And early on, I saw these and I was like, man, this really makes sense. We need to focus on this in terms of our SEO strategy. But if you look at those pie charts and break down these signal categories, it really is broken down into subcategories where you've got GMB signals, link signals, review signals, on-page signals, citation signals, behavioral, personalization, and social signals. So from an SEO standpoint, if you're trying to rank something, especially in the map pack, then you need to be focused on all of these signal categories, not just one of them. Now, they are weighted, and there is more influence in GMB than there is in social signals, although there's kind of a loop there because GMB actually functions like a social profile of sorts with their posting feature. So there is some linkage between number 1 and number 8 with GMB, but so there is weighting. So we want to focus our signal generation in these higher categories that have more influence on the overall map pack and organic ranking factors. And so when we built Quantum Newswire, we looked for every single way we could potentially generate signals. So with one piece of content loaded into Quantum Newswire and then published out, you're going to generate GMB signals, and I'll show you how in a second. GMB signals, link signals, on-page signals, citation signals, and behavioral signals. With one piece of content, you'll generate hundreds of signals in those major 5 categories. And it's nice and simple and easy. Also, The other big thing that we did with flipping, the way these guys have been still, execute their service is with our content sourcing. So what never made sense to me was when I would use these other services, they would take our content and they would, the content being would probably be for a client, right? We're trying to rank a client's, site and Google listing. They would take that content, that press release, and they would publish it to their site first. And then they would publish it out to the news sites. And, after a while, I kind of noticed this and I was like, well, that doesn't make sense because I know that Google is looking for authorship. Authorship goes back, well over 10 years. Authorship is still, well and alive. And directly in their quality guidelines, they tell their manual raters to look for who's responsible for the content. So we know authorship is still really, really important. It's part of their quality guidelines. It goes to the EAT components of both the algorithm and the quality guidelines. Expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And the only way that you can really evaluate EAT is with the content. And so content authorship is really important. In other words, so if the news site is claiming or the PR service is claiming to be the original source of the content, then they're going to basically hijack and steal all of the authority because Google is going to say, well, they're the author of the content. So where that content appears first and who or where Google assigns as the canonical of that content is really, really important. And so with the way we execute this is we want the press release, the article content from an SEO standpoint, we want that content on the target or the money site first. And then we distribute out to the media sites after we've been able to publish to the money site, hopefully ping Google and get Googlebot to come crawl that site, that page, see that page as the original source of the content, the creator of the content, and then move on with publication. And that way, all the duplicate content on these media sites is going to, that authority, the signals are all, the benefits going to flow back to the source. These guys all execute it to their advantage. Okay. We execute it for our agencies and for SEO purposes to the advantage of the person or company you're doing the SEO for. So that sourcing feature is a significant difference in how we execute the entire process from beginning to end. How are we different? Well, number one, we built this really for agencies only. We built this with an agency in mind, not only for our own agencies, but we strategically from the very beginning said we were going to build Quantum for other agencies, not just our own. So there's specific, programming, structure, technology, and then just even thinking in terms of how we built this with the agency in mind. We also don't really sell it to other businesses. You can't go to our quantumnewswire.com website and sign up anywhere. There's only a form to fill. You can't get access to our software if you're not an agency. Secondly, we built this to be white label or private label. So Quantum Newswire is invisible in the entire process. So as you do your SEO for yourself or your agency clients, Quantum Newswire is invisible in the process. These other services put themselves front and center, even so much as that they put the content on their own site first, and then even quote themselves as the source of the content. And because we're sourcing the content to the target or money site first, and because we built this for agencies, we're invisible. That sourcing is a huge shift, as I just discussed. We also built and programmed a WordPress plugin to come along for the ride. Why did we do that? Well, the majority of the SEO community uses WordPress, number one. Number two, we wanted to automate some of the workflow. So publishing the content out of Quantum into the WordPress site, we wanted to be able to automate that. We wanted to be able to automate schema injection. And we wanted to be able to create a nice linkage and loop between that source article and the media sites. And so we programmed a plugin to kind of do all those things. Matt's going to talk about, and if you want to talk, let's talk about it at the end, Matt. But Matt will talk about when we finish here, a new feature that's coming out that's actually going to improve upon and also replace the WordPress plugin, which will also then remove the dependency on WordPress. So if you have a non-WordPress site with your clients, this new feature is going to be applicable to all sites, not just WordPress, because of the plugin and what that limited us to. So we also did a live Google Map API integration with Quantum. And so what happens here when we are on a live media site is we actually have a live Google Map display on each of the media sites. And so, and no one else has this, guys. No one else has this. We're not, this is not embed code. Okay. So what's happening is our software is actually doing a live API call to the Google Map API and bringing the map display into the media site. That map API call is an extremely strong GMB signal. So when William was telling you how he's getting, really, really phenomenal map pack rankings using Quantum Newswire, this is one of the biggest reasons why. This GMB signal accounts for 25%, and this is an extremely strong signal happening multiple times over dozens of media sites. So that's responsible for a lot of the effectiveness of the map pack rankings. So we have do follow and no follow links. For now, Google is changing things. We're constantly watching how they're working their rhythm and algorithm, but we have do follow and no follow links. We have an anchor tag manager in each article where you can select do follow or no follow. It's do follow by default. You check a box if you want a specific link to be no follow. You're going to pass real authority, real juice through these news sites with the linking opportunities that we have for you. We also have a permanent web archive. So we actually immortalize some of this content forever by taking random news sites or articles that are on the news sites. Every time you publish, an article, we'll randomize, take some random archives of those news sites, publish some of those to our own archive, and publish some of those to the Wayback Machine or web archives. So we're creating, snapshots and immortalizing, the instance of this Fox 40 site or this NBC2 site or this, Channel 10 news site or whatever it might be. So that content just it's a forever archive, in a permanent existence of the content on some of these archives. We have a really amazing text editor. Matt and the dev team have done an amazing job on our text editor. It's an advanced text editor, WYSIWYG. I'll show you that in a second. And I have a technical SEO walkthrough video on the inside, for all of our members, showing you how to use the advanced text editor to actually build a structured article inside Quantum that's going to fire off great on-page signals. So, one of these signal categories is on-page signals. So when Google's crawling any page, right, and rendering that page, it's looking for signals on that page. And a lot of those signals are not, visible to the human eye. It's what we as SEOs can do to put into the page. And so we're injecting schema. We want to also inject, what you'll see here is, section headings, images. We want this content to be rich. Google loves content that has images and videos and section headings and H2 section heading and H3 section heading and H4 section heading. It tells Google a lot about that content. And so our text editor allows you to create these section headings and really create great on-page signals. Let's see here, almost done here. Something that's 100% unique to us, but it was a really frustrating experience when we as an agency would make a mistake. It happens, right? We have humans who are doing work, and what would happen is we'd take all this time, create this great article and press release for a client, publish it out to the news sites, and then get that email or phone call from the client going, "Hey, great article, but there's a mistake in it." And they'd be like, and they go, "You sure?" Yeah. Sure enough, there's a typo or there's a mistake. Maybe the links go into a dead link. And the only resolution would be to pay a fee, a pretty big fee, to have them actually go in and remove the article from all the media sites so we could start the process all over again. And that happened a couple times, not a lot, but when it happened, it was painful, embarrassing, and just frustrating because it took up more time. What we have in Quantum is the ability to actually do post-publish editing. So because of our relationship and technology with the media companies, if you need to edit anything but the title and the subtitle can be edited after it's actually published and live on the media site. So if you want to update something, no problem. If you made a mistake, go in and correct it, republish it out. It's going to cost you 5 credits, $5, but it doesn't have to be $75 to $150 to pull the article down and only to start the process all over. So it's a very minimal, repurpose. We have to actually review the article one more time before it gets republished back out, but we do have post-publish editing. So with that, this is a quick Ahrefs overview of a couple of the news sites, but you can see here a DR of 72 here, a DR of 67. These sites have great profiles, and even one article, you'll see oftentimes a bump in rankings just from one article. But the stacking, the repetition of one article after another, focused on a target site and a focused GMB listing will really do some phenomenal things. And as William was saying, we have not just his use case, but if you go to quantumnewswire.net, which we have kind of a 2-page funnel or sign up process for our agencies. quantumnewswire.net, we've got all sorts of agencies and their case studies. They leave us a video case study testimonial about their use as an agency or as an SEO company and how they're using it to get rankings. We also have a demo and overview video, but you're going to get that from us tonight. And you've got a 2-hour replay of a webinar I did with Josh Nelson. If you click this yellow button, it takes you to our pricing page. But at this point, Matt, why don't you, I'll stop and see if there are any questions. We can maybe answer a few questions. And then Matt, I'll let you pop in as well and let me know if there's anything we want to do here. But to wrap up my portion of this, let me just go in and I'm live in a software. So I'm inside of an agency account. We have a signal generation report that gets generated for every single article that you syndicate out through your agency account. You can pick your business there, and then you can see how many signals you have there, and you can see your different articles. And then if you pick an article, it gives you the signals that are being generated from just that one article there. That's under the signal dashboard. If we come in here to the press releases section, this is really where the main guts of the software are. You can either create a new article from scratch, meaning you have your own article, your own writer, you write it, or your own writer writes it, and you're going to bring that content, could be in a Google Doc, a Word doc, wherever, you're going to bring that content into the platform and then distribute it out once it's published. If you want us to write it for you, we have a full writing team. We write for about 30 to 40% of our agencies. We do all the writing for. The majority of our agencies have their own content, but about 30 to 40% of them use us for writing. It's either or for you. So whatever works best for you, just, you can do it either way. This is a simple order form. And so if I go into the write it for me, I'll go to this first. This actually is going to be, we're working on improving this form with some extra detail. Right now, you just give us as much detail as you can in the top field. You can give us information on the theme or the topic that you have or that the client wants. You drop in your images. You pick the category, what's this for? Is it for education? Is it for finance and loan? These are all the news categories. Is it, a lot of contractors will fall under land and property. If they're a plumber, electrician, what have you, pick land and property. Then you're going to pick the company from your drop down, or you can add a new one on the fly. Adding a new one on the fly is pretty easy. It's just filling out this form. but it's important to do this form extremely accurate. We encourage it to be 100% consistent with the Google My Business listing, because all the information that you put in here will be used in schema markup automatically. So the more accurate this is, the better, especially if it's consistent with your GMB listing. But fill this out once and then save it. And then once it's saved, you can just recall that right away. Once you pick the business, it brings in the information. And then now we're going to get into the cost driver of the content. So when we're going to write it for you, these are the three things that are going to just drive the cost of the article down or up, depending on these three categories. Almost 100% of all of our writing, everyone's good with the 3-star quality. 3-star really is probably 4 to 5-star on most other writing platforms. You'll likely be very happy with 3-star, but if you have really technical writing requirements, or you just want that extra care, feel free to pick 4 or 5-star just for that extra technical or care or research in the writing process. If you leave it at 3, then the other 2 drivers are how many words. So, we can just, pick the number of words that we want in the release. And then what's the turnaround time? Do you need it in a 24-hour rush turnaround, or can you order it out, 3 to 4 weeks out, or order it, a little bit more advanced? The further out in the future that you order it, the lower the cost gets for you. So 1 credit equals $1 on our platform. You're going to use account credits to send an article out to the media sites, and you're going to use account credits to have us write any articles if you just so choose. So credits are used inside your account for authorship and for distribution. If you have your own content and you don't need authorship, then you're just going to use account credits for distribution only. But it's your choice on a day by day, article by article basis, whether you want us to author or use your own. The cost to send out, excuse me, 1 article to the network of media sites is 10 credits or $10. So because 1 credit equals $1, so 10 credits to send out 1 article to the media sites. It's a network of about 35 sites. That can go up and go down, and it will go up and go down. We're not focused on quantity of sites, okay? Remember, this is press releases and content syndication by its very nature is duplicate content. So we don't want to have just content blasted out on a bunch of sites, especially if it's not executed properly. And you don't need a large amount of sites that are these types of sites to have a very, very nice effect. So we're not focused on quantity, we're focused on quality sites. And we're focused not only on quality sites, but we're focused on the type of sites that we can actually execute the things that we're doing on these sites, especially this live map display. So to that end, it's going to go out to about 30 to 35 sites. Not every site is guaranteed to pick it up, but you're guaranteed to get the article published on, I would say, we would always guarantee 20 plus sites. And that's really all we've ever found to be needed to effectuate the boost in rankings, article over article over article. So 10 credits to distribute, whatever it's going to cost you to author. The cost drivers are typically the number of words and the turnaround time. Once you finish that out, you'll select the main channel. This is the channel of media sites. Again, this will increase and decrease. We have about 10 new sites that are pending from the media partners. So we'll see a nice bump in media sites here soon enough. But you'll finish all this. If you do want the article to also be submitted to the Alexa ecosystem and the Google Assistant ecosystem for voice search, then you'll just check this box as well. That's an extra 5 credits, which then it ends up being 15 credits. The reason you see 5 credits for distribution here is because we're actually authoring this article. If we go in and we do a press release from scratch, it's going to be a straight 10 credits. 5 credits for distribution, 5 credits for us to actually review that article before it gets approved out to the media sites. We actually have a team of people that review and manually read every single article that goes through our system. It does not just automatically go out. We will reject articles that contain prohibited content. We'll reject articles that are spammy or that are clearly spun and just really low quality. Prohibited content, we have that in our terms of use on our website, but the normal stuff, anything regarding anything illegal, illicit, drugs, pornography, most of the cosmetic surgery or cosmetic surgeon or cosmetic medical spa, that's what I'm looking for. A lot of that stuff, breast augmentations, that stuff just not, it used to go through. It's we have a much harder time with that. So we do allow for CBD and medical cannabis, which is a unique niche that a lot of the other media sites won't allow for. But again, no prohibited content. As long as it's quality and not prohibited content, it's gonna make it through our review process and then get out to the media sites. Creating from scratch is a very simple 1, 2, 3-step process. We select our company, which is just the first step. Once we select the company, it automatically will then find the GMB listing for this company. It also will generate the CID link and the place ID link that we can use in step 2. Once we're done with step 1, which is just choosing the company, we then go to the guts of the article. We put in our headline, our blog headline. These are really important. We want these to be keyword focused because these are going to be our H1 and H2. The Google document link is just an internal reference in case you have a Google document link for the content. It's not actually going to be used on the live media sites. This is where the body of the content goes. This is the advanced text editor. You can expand this. This is where you can also, if you're in the agency pro plan or our lifetime deal, you also get the schema feature that you can actually start injecting inline schema into the article. You can insert your images, your links, and your YouTube or Vimeo videos using the insert here. You got access to source code, word count here. And if you type anything here, you can then highlight that. And then here are your H1 through H6 headings and your image tagging as well. Your anchor tags is where once you have links in here where you can select as no follow if you want your summary and blog summary. And then the last step is you can drop in up to 5 images if you're in our pro plan or our lifetime plan. I think it's 2 or 3 images if you're in the starter plan. You select the main channel. Again, if you want Google Assistant or Alexa, you could select that or not. Your category, your published date and time, and then the really important, although it makes it look very simple, the source code. If the site that you're using is running the WordPress plugin, you'll see WordPress plugin here as an option. If it's not, you're not going to see it. Manually inserted would mean, okay, maybe it's a Doodah site or a Weebly site. We're going to take the press release. We're going to go manually publish it to the site first. Or if we want to just put it on the WordPress blog, we go and put it on the blog first. We publish it. Once we've published it on whatever site, we're going to grab that long permalink URL and then put that there as the source. Once we've got that on the source, we're good to go. We click and we get to a review. We review the article here and off we go with publishing. Once you click publish, it comes to our team for that manual review. Based on your membership level, it's 24, 48, or 72-hour review time. We always aim for that. Sometimes we get slammed with a bunch of articles and those times can be a little fluid, but those are the review times that we aim for. 24 hours for our lifetime customers, 48 for our pro customers, 72 hours for our starter customers. And then once it's approved, it goes out to the media sites or it goes out for publication. If you're using our WordPress plugin and it goes out for publication, the first thing that happens is the plugin picks up the article, publishes it to the WordPress site automatically. our system pauses for 24 hours for pinging Googlebot to come crawl that page. And then 24 hours later, our system begins the syndication or distribution process to the media sites. And then the source URL you'll see down here, right down here at the bottom right here. So, and then that source URL links directly out to the target or money site where the source article exists. The source article exists here on the media or on the source site. It's an exact representation of what's out on the live media sites, as you can see here. But you know, on the WordPress site, about 3 or 4 days after distribution, our crawlers validate the existence of the content on the media sites and then report back. And then we update the article with these distribution link samples so that there's a no follow link and a linkage between Googlebot to say, all right, this content is out here on these media sites as well. And the media sites then have a nice, do follow right back to the source link down here. So that's a quick live demo of what it looks like once you've, gone in here, added it in, an article in and pushed it out. If you want us to write it for you, obviously that process plays itself out first. It goes to you and or your client for review, and then it goes out for distribution. Lastly, we have a knowledge base and a ticket desk right in here. Knowledge base, besides what you're getting tonight, if you go into video tutorials, the getting started video is a really quick 10-minute overview, me just walking you through what I just kind of did tonight. And the technical SEO walkthrough, I actually walk through how to actually take a regular piece of content, how to really build structure into it inside of our quantum text editor, how to optimize it, some really good tips on things that you can do to really make that article really maximize what I would say is the signal generation from that article using good technical SEO. So that technical SEO walkthrough is right here. All you got to do is click on it, hit play. It's about a 16-minute walkthrough, kind of over the shoulder, how I take a regular article, really juice it up, and then get it ready to send out to the media sites. So that stuff is in on the inside. Lastly, you go into your account. This is where you can manage your account as an agency. This is where you can add your client companies that you're going to do article distributions or press releases for. The web records, that's the permanent web archives. It's on by default. You can turn it off if you don't want to use it. Here's all you can always see your invoices in credit ledger. So the credit ledger just keeps an ongoing ledger of incoming and outgoing credits. So you just always have that for your record keeping. Your membership is the level that you're at. And if you have upgrades, you can always upgrade in membership. If WordPress is where you manage the WordPress plugin and create API tokens for your client companies. And then if you ever need to add more credits into your account, you just come here to credits. You can buy them in packages of 25, 50, 100, and so on. So, all right, I'm done. I see that there's been some good conversation and questions and answers. Matt, since you've been kind of monitoring the questions, I'll let you pop in.
Okay, so just the last question that I didn't get to answer by text. How many press releases do you want to do without getting flagged? Typically, on an annual basis, we would say about 15. So out of 12 months, you can do a little bit more than one a month. In the early, go ahead.
Per topical theme or GMB business category. So, if you've got a roofer and they're a roofing contractor, a painting contractor, and a siding contractor, which are three individual GMB business categories, then you could do more than that as long as you're addressing different topical themes or GMB business categories.
Yep. Okay, let's see.
Credits are simply one credit for $1. So if you need more credits in your account because you have a larger volume of articles that you need to send out in a given month, or you need to, you want to have more articles written for you, so you just need to buy more credits, you just buy more credits, and then $1 equals 1 credit. So you'll buy them 25 credits equals $25. You just buy the credits that you need, and then those get loaded into your account. If you don't use all the credits in your account, they don't expire. They roll over, so there's no expiration of credits. As long as your account remains active and in good standing, your credits never expire.
Yep. I'll add a couple things in. So we have some pretty substantial changes coming up, and I'll briefly give you some insight as to why and what they'll result in. So our WordPress plugin, of any of the other press release services or solutions, no one ever had an integrated WordPress integration or anything else integrated other than, as Lane indicated, they had distributions on their site, because they're trying to build their domain authority and their page rank, and then passing off the leftovers to your clients, right? So we upended that substantially by having a plugin. What we've encountered with the plugin is, out of the 8,000 or so sites that are using the plugin, obviously there are many configurations of WordPress and themes, and so it's been challenging. Out of 8,000, 95% of those run perfectly, and then the 5%, where there's some odd configuration or custom theme, as you guys can imagine, it's a support nightmare, because the expectation by the agencies is somehow, we have to, theme and manage the plugin on their very unique WordPress site. So I'll say definitely use the WordPress plugin. We're always there to help you, if it's something simple, but we can't rebuild your theme if it's custom and it's causing an issue. We do have a custom CSS editor, and you can make the plugin look and work like however you please. And again, 95% of the time, the plugin works great. So we started looking into, okay, how can we go beyond WordPress, even though the majority of sites, a third of the internet, of the business internet, is on WordPress, and how can we even improve on what we're doing? So there is about 10 to 15% of the agencies that don't have WordPress, or they focus on another platform, whether it's Doodah or Web Builder or any other number of solutions. So we do have the manually inserted link, but we wanted to go beyond that. So we are coming out within the next 45 days. We will be launching what we call media rooms. Media rooms are an upgrade to the plugin, because the plugin manages the press releases and the articles, but the media room is going to go beyond that. And although some of the other platforms do have media rooms, once again, those media rooms are hosted on their platform. So if you go to Press Advantage or you go to EIN, Presswire, you pay $500 a year per client, and you can have a media room. Again, it's hosted on their platform.
And on their domain.
Yeah, and on their domain.
Which is killer. I mean, bad.
Absolutely. So what we're doing, again, because our focus is agency centric, right? We want to empower you as agency owners to have more value to your clients. So in the new rollout, not only will we be replacing the WordPress plugin, although if everyone that's using the plugin will continue to be able to use it for the next year or two, we will be moving towards deprecating it in a couple of years. Our existing agencies, they're fine, they can continue to use the plugin. But we have created a solution where you as an agency can simply do a CNAME record of your client's domain, and then we will be hosting the media room on their domain. And our initial tests are, they're unbelievable. The ranking and the domain authority that we're gathering on your client's domain is unmatched. We're super excited. We think it's going to, revolutionize automated SEO, because the key, to proper SEO these days is creating and doing things that do not appear to be automated. But we all know, in order to make money, we have to implement automation and standard operating procedures in order to be profitable. But we don't want it to look as if, this is just a script or this is what everyone else is doing. Google does not look fondly on that. So we've created a process that looks extremely manual, but it is the vast majority of it is automated, hosted, and marked up perfectly on your client's domain, and passing that authority of the media room to your client's domain to further support it.
So the media room is on actually on the subdomain.
Correct. So you'll be pointing a CNAME record to a subdomain that the app will guide you through. There'll be a guided process, and this is in place of the WordPress plugin. What that does is that prevents any complications, and it empowers us to have a lot more automation that can be immediately updated, rather than some of the limitations of the WordPress plugin. But beyond that, we're bringing in local relevant signals and content to your client site, in addition to the press releases. So we'll give you guys more information as this rolls out, but we're super excited. And for those of you that are not using WordPress, we wanted to mention it and let you know you guys are really first hearing this. We've been working on it for many, many months, and it'll be rolling out in the next 45 days or so. So you can pick up from there, Lane.
All right. We had a question about what would the cost be if you had us write it for you, and it was about 500 words. You can see here about 48. Actually, been to being. Let me select that. Total cost would be $53, 53 credits. If you had it at 500 words on a 16 to 20 day turnaround time. I'm assuming that you don't need it to be rushed, and if you have the better planning you do. Obviously, if you can plan it out a month in advance and get that rolling that way, then you're going to achieve the cheapest cost, which would end up being 51 credits. So turnaround time is, a little driver there, but for the answer to that question, just under $50 or 50 credits for a 500 word press release that we would write for you. And that would include it being fully distributed out to the media sites as well. I did give the sign up page is quantumnewswire.net/go. All right. So anybody who signs up by midnight tonight, we're going to just give you an extra $100 of credits into your account. Okay. So anybody who signs up tonight on any one of the levels will get an extra 100 credits that we'll add into your account. I'll just manually go in and add them for whoever signs up, whoever who watches a replay. I'm sorry, showing up sometimes matters. So for those who show up, you're going to get rewarded if you take action tonight. But that's the bonus. So if you want to go to quantumnewswire.net/go, that's where you can sign up. I'll go there right now and just quickly walk through this with you guys. So I'll start down at the bottom and then work our way up. So like I said, one credit costs $1. Additional credits can be purchased as needed and just loaded into your account. A written article that you bring into the Quantum on your own. So somebody else writes it for you or you write it on your own. That article to go out to the main channel of media sites is 10 credits. If you want it to go out to the voice search channel, that's 5 credits. We will have some new channels coming in as well. That's one of the things we're working on, is to have some additional channels that have some SEO benefit from one angle or another on them. So in 2021, we will have some new channels coming on board as well. But the main 30 or so sites that really help us drive the rankings, that's $10 or 10 credits. That's a sample of about 30 to 35 NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox sites, along with some radio stations. That's, again, breaking down the account credits and how you use credits in your account to do article distribution. So the other component of pricing and cost is your account access. We have 3 levels of access: the agency starter plan, the agency pro plan. These are the monthly subscriptions, and then we have a lifetime deal. So the monthly plan, the starter plan, is $150 per month. You pay $150 per month in the subscription, but we also load $65 of credits into your account on each renewal. Okay, those 65 credits can be used as needed to do what you want to do. If you ever need to buy more credits, like I said, you just buy more credits. The big limiter on the agency starter plan is that you can only add up to 3 client companies into your agency account in Quantum. Once you get to 3 client companies, if your company, you're going to do SEO for your own company, that's going to count as one of the 3. Once you get to that 3 max, you're going to have to upgrade to the Agency Pro account. Okay. We may come out with more plans that go beyond Agency Pro in the future. Right now, we just have these 2 to keep it simple. The other limiter is that it's a maximum of 1,000 words in the articles on the starter plan. If you are in the Agency Pro plan, you get up to 50 client companies and up to 2,500 words. So those are the big differences between starter and pro. On the lifetime deal, it's a one-time payment of $3,997. You also get $500 of credits added into your account. If you do it tonight, you'll get 600 credits added into your account. And also, you get 100 client companies instead of 50. And then we give you the fastest turnaround time. We give our priority to our lifetime customers. Lifetime has gone up multiple times since we launched. It will, once we launch our media room, the media room feature, in March here, the lifetime deal is going to go up to $4,997. So we'll probably keep the lifetime deal around, but the price will keep going up as we add more features and start doing more, especially with the hosted media room and the schema and all we're doing there. So that's those are your 3 options for your account access.
One thing I'll point out on the lifetime, we love lifetime deals, AppSumo. Of course, we're a lot more expensive than those deals because we do a lot more, but we will always grandfather in our agencies. As we add more features, there'll never be any additional cost to those that are lifetime members.
For anything that's a feature that doesn't have a credit cost associated, let me qualify that, because we'll have a feature of a new channel that comes on. That channel may, like the voice search channel, may cost 3 credits or 2 credits or 5 credits. So, but for the features like the schema feature that we added in about 4 months ago or so, all of our pro customers that we made that a feature of pro, all of our lifetime deal customers, we grandfathered in and they got that schema feature without any extra cost.
Yeah, anything that's a consumable where we incur a cost, like obviously publishing, we incur costs every single time. We pass that on.
Any other questions down here? Someone asked, can I manually add the article into my WordPress site and not use the plugin? Yes, absolutely. You can manually add the article to any site, Weebly, Duda, Wix, whatever, and then use that source. Once you publish it, you're going to get that long source permalink URL. You'll copy that permalink URL and use that as the source URL in step 3 of Quantum. Matt, do we have anyone using Quantum and the plugin for affiliate sites?
Yeah, I already answered that. Yes, we do, and they're doing well. It works just as well. Of course, the majority of the outcome, we are a vehicle, and the gas that you put into the tank. So it's kind of I would say we're kind of like a Ferrari, but if you put really bad gas that's full of water, it's not going to perform real well. So the quality of the content matters. It doesn't have to be, exceptional. And our review team does do minor edits. The editorial team, if they see mistakes, we're not going to. It takes more time for us to go back and forth with you and say, you have these errors. So when you sign up, you authorize us to make small changes. If there's spelling errors and grammatical things, we fix those for you. If it's substantial and it needs to be rewritten, we're going to reject it and send it back to you. But once again, the quality of the fuel that you put into the tank will affect the outcome.
So Trisha asked a really good question she said, I'm familiar with subdomains, but your regular domain gets the full SEO juice on traffic to the subdomain ? You want to explain the linkage between this is obviously with the upcoming new feature of the hosted media rooms being on the WWM subdomain. So
Sure.
Matt, maybe explain the linkage there and how it's going to work in coordination together and how it's going to be automated for them.
So many of you might be familiar with, subdomains and subfolders. There's lots of debate. We've studied it and deployed those strategies in many different instances, to really examine what the impact is. So we're very familiar how to execute that well. As far as the juice, as I answered in the stream, it's our goal to further support the root domain, but at the same time, we have agencies in mind. So because this is a hosted component that is seamlessly integrated into your client site, we want to create more and more value. Ultimately, in many instances, we're finding that some of these media rooms and subdomain features are out indexing the client site. Now, ultimately, we drive all the traffic to the root site anyway. But what happens there is, the client begins to see, of course, their brand and their presence, their web presence proliferate, in the subdomain. It just makes you guys more and more needed and valuable. First of all, it shows that the strategy is working. And secondly, as I answered, it makes it really difficult for them to ever consider leaving you and going somewhere else, because you would explain to them, that this meaning, because since you guys are white labeling the solution, you would communicate that your strategy and that your media room technology goes with you. If they were to ever want to let you go, that there'd be the consequence that you'd have to turn that off. Now, we do have an option. If you chose, if you wanted to make it available to your clients, you could tell them, if they did in fact change and go to another agency, you could tell them that you'd be glad to continue to host the media room and that you'd be no longer involved with managing it, and they would continue to pay you for hosting of that media room and all the links that have been indexed, and you continue to make revenue even if you got fired, unfortunately. So that's an
Or you
intentional
turn it off
strategy that
if
we
you
put in
want.
place.
And
Yeah,
we've had
absolutely.
some clients, who we would turn it off on them if they canceled on us, so, it will demonstrate the value that you as an SEO agency bring to them for helping them drive those rankings. If they cancel on you, that all those components of things that you did with the hosted media room, and or now with the WordPress plugin will all disappear unless you choose to leave it on for them.
And that's a business decision. Some of you might not like, that strategy or thought, but I mean, many of you that have been doing this for a long time, the effort that never gets recognized, all the, the long hours, all the team meetings, all the planning, and that never gets recognized or appreciated. So this just gives you a little bit of,
leverage.
empowerment if you so choose to use it. If you choose not to, then leave it on. They can continue to pay a minimal amount for hosting, of which you get the lion's share of that, and just move on to the next client. I mean, then you become a hosting company and you don't have to do anything for it. There's no work to be done.
So the hosted media room will have some, maybe go into a little bit more of the hosted media room, because I think people are thinking, well, maybe I don't want to use that. And if you don't want to use the subdomain in the hosted media room, you won't be required to, right? That's just going to be an
Absolutely.
option. It provides, so if you just want to keep it, and you want to have the source article be on the root domain and you want to manually publish it, that'll be up to you, and you can certainly do that. Not a problem. There will be advantages for ranking, by using a media room. We're doing this for SEO. So trust us when we do say that this is going to be helping to produce better rankings throughout. So, we would encourage you probably to use it, but you do your own testing and make your own decisions. So that answers that question. You won't be required to use it. We've had, I think I've seen it a couple of times, people asking, what if I'm in Canada? What if I'm in the UK? What if I'm in Australia? We have agencies all over the world using Quantum Newswire to rank anything that they want to rank in whatever country it may be in. So even though the sites that we publish to are all in the United States, the signals that we're generating and the authority and the links are still producing rankings, regardless of whether it's a site that's in Canada or a Google listing that's in the UK or Australia. the only caveat being that, largely it's the English speaking world. I mean, I actually saw a Spanish article go through today. So I don't know if do we allow Spanish to go through, Matt?
Yeah, Spanish is the only other language that we're allowed to let pass through, and there has to be some English references in it.
Yeah. So it's, largely English speaking, Spanish speaking as a secondary, but, but the results, you're going to see results regardless of where you're at. And we have, like, even on our social proof page, I've got a couple of guys that are not here in the US that are using it. I think JP is in the UK, for instance. Got a bunch of people in Canada. We've got people in Australia. I've got people in India, pretty much everywhere.
One important distinction, this always comes up, is, as Lane indicated very early on, our primary goal and very unique strategy is not to index as many of the other PR solutions. They boast about hundreds and hundreds of points of distribution, and then many dozens and dozens of indexed links. So we have strategically and very intentionally created a process that only indexes several of the most important and relevant links, and the remainder of the distributions, we do a direct pass through of the authority so that there is no indexation. As you guys are probably familiar with the supplemental index, so at the bottom of the Google search results, it says search results omitted for duplicate content. So our very intentional goal is to avoid showing up, as many of the other solutions do, showing up the majority of the index results in the omitted results section. I mean, that's an absolute tragedy that many people fall for that because it has an extremely negative impact. So
maybe you just explain the difference between showing up in the index, because a lot of people think, well, if it's not indexed, then is it going to really count?
Sure. Yep. So there are processes in place, and we don't really have time to go into it in this particular session. We're already going pretty long. But there are strategies and there are Google patents that allow for the pass-through of authority for non-indexed results. And that's already occurring through social engagement, which you don't see all of that indexing, but those are ranking factors that are discussed within, the rater guidelines. So there's many other signal types beyond even indexed results that pass authority. And that's going to become more and more the case, especially with, voice search. Of which, I think you guys seen that's an option. We have Alexa submission, and a lot of that's very intangible at this point, but it still in fact is playing a role. Of course, mobile first is having and continues to have more and more impact in terms of signal and web presence as a whole. So I'm long-winded. I'm gonna be quiet. Go ahead, Lane, take over.
So that's a good answer. How long do these PRs stay up for? So all of the other services, almost bar none, it's 30 days. On day 31, that content's coming down. On our platform, we guarantee a minimum of 90 days. It can stay up as long as 6 to 9 months. We don't guarantee that because sometimes we don't ultimately control all these media sites. Some of these media sites are in the network today, and 3 months from now they're not. They decide to go, do something different. So, so it's not a guarantee, but generally speaking, 3 to 6 months. So a lot longer than the average press release is up for, which is 30 days. And so even when these articles come down, what we've seen in practice is that there's no reduction in the rankings when that article actually comes off the media sites, because it's been up for so long. It's not like Google bots going back to crawl at that page again to see if that page still exists. So, I mean, just, in practicality, we've not seen it. We don't see a loss in rankings once the content does fall off from being on the live sites. Also, don't forget, we do have the permanent web archives where we're immortalizing that content. So there's still some, some residual value there. And of course, the biggest thing is that the permanent archive or the permanent source of that content is on the money site to begin with, which it's never going to come down from there. And that's another reason why sourcing this to the money site to begin with is such a huge advantage. Are there any issues with oversaturation on your distributors platforms? Let's say there's 100 roofing articles coming the same month from different agencies. We've not seen that in effect at all. We've got, I would say, probably a heavy concentration of plumbers and plumbing contractors, and they're some of our heaviest users actually over over 2 years. So I would say, in practical speaking and experience from a historically speaking, the answer to that question, Graham, would be no. Anthony says, hey, Lane, I want to let everyone know I've been using Quantum Newswire for probably 2 years, and I can tell you it's awesome. I have the lifetime plan, but got in when it wasn't $1 million. I can tell you I've seen a definite ranking increase with the Quantum. Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate it, buddy. Let's see, are there any other questions that we haven't answered yet? I'm just scrolling up, guys, here. If anybody else has got any questions they want to ask, you can also unmute and ask. Feel free. William, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Just Facebook disabled my account as soon as I went live is all.
Oh, lovely.
So this is like the 6th time, so I'm done with them, honestly. I'll be posting things in our group, probably through various other accounts, because I have about 5 or 6 admin accounts on purpose, obviously. And if anyone needs me, just reach me on my email address. Everybody should have it, or find me on LinkedIn. That's probably where I'm going to be putting most of my content anymore. Once we're done with this meeting too, this meeting will be uploaded to YouTube and then put on the back end of the group as well. So
I think everyone got the quantumnewswire.net/go is where you sign up. You use the red button here, whatever plan you want, and you'll immediately sign up. It's a very simple, 2-step process. Step 1 is your account information, and your email is going to be your username and your password. And then step 2 is your billing information. Make sure and check the box down here on step 2. It says agency account. You want to set it up as an agency account. You'll see that as a checkbox down here on step 2. Once you put in your billing information on step 2 and hit go, you'll get immediate access as long as the charge goes through. And then anybody who signs up, like I said, through midnight tonight, tomorrow when I wake up, we'll assess, who signed up and go add an extra 100 credits into your account. That's an extra 10 distributions of articles. I guarantee you're going to see really good rankings if you use 10 articles, to good use on 1 or 2 of your clients. Just do PR stacking. So Matt said frequency, about 1 a month or so. But stack them, and then you can always, in your linking strategies, you can link, in the second PR or article, you can link to the first one. And then in the third one, you can link to the second one. And the fourth one, you link to the third one. And so you can stack that. And because the content's staying live so much longer on our platform, the stacking just does some really magical things for you. Graham said, yeah, I just grabbed the lifetime deal. All worked fine. All right, great. That's awesome. Thanks, Graham. Welcome. And we'll add those credits to your account. Do you have submitted examples of a content submitted? Let me show you. Matt, can I show him our Quantum Agency feed? Do you think that's okay?
Sure.
Okay, so we have, if you go to brandequation.com, and I'll drop the link in here in a second, and then go to news and media. All right, well, why isn't our menu showing up here? All right, let me just, I think it's news/media. Yeah. This entire feed here is written by our writers, okay? So every article in this feed here has been written by our writing team. So I'll drop this link in here so that you guys have it. But this is also a great, a great example of the type of content that you'll be able to publish on our platform. So it doesn't have to be one of the big questions is people who've used press releases before is, well, does it have to be newsworthy? Does it have to be about a new launch or an award that my client got or something like that? The answer is no. The answer is it needs to be quality content written in third person. And that's really the big difference. Instead of being written in first person, it needs to be written in third person. And it just needs to be quality. So it doesn't need to be newsworthy. You'll see here, we've got a lot of articles about tips. Local UPS store in Audubon, Pennsylvania highlights UPS's efficient delivery process. Effective outdoor landscape lighting principles for small businesses. 5 signs you need to call a drain cleaning company near you. You guys will get the idea here. I gave you the link. You can go here. If you want to look at in terms of judging quality, that's our 3-star quality content right there. So, and that'll give you a great random sample of a bunch of different types of businesses that we write for and the type of content that, will go live on the site. Paul's saying, so if we provide the content, we only pay distribution. That's correct, Paul. If you provide the content, it's going to be 10 credits for the main channel, 5 credits for the voice channel. If you choose that, that's optional. The main channel is always going to be required. It's got to go somewhere. The main channel is 10 credits. So that's the distribution fee for the main channel. If you provide your own content, will just be 10 credits or ultimately $10. And just for the record, guys, that's the cheapest out there anywhere. I'm sure you guys, if any of you guys have used any of the other services previously mentioned, Press Cable was notably one of the cheapest. I think they were $33, $35, $40 if you had the content. If you had authorship, it was more. And I don't think any of these other ones are any cheaper, but 10 credits, $10 to those major ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox sites is a deal. And it should allow you to also increase frequency of the signal generation that you're doing for your clients. We have white label SEO companies that use Quantum Newswire for their white label SEO agency clients. Okay. So you're going to be able to use Quantum to get rankings without a lot of extra link building and other very expensive or manual or frustrating tasks. It's not going to be a magic bullet for you. So let me tell you this: if you don't optimize your GMB listing like William teaches you, if you don't optimize your web pages with on-page, good on-page optimization, we're not going to be able to make up for a bad website or an unoptimized GMB listing. You still might see ranking increases there, but if you're in, you're trying to rank in competitive geo markets or for competitive niches, you're going to have some of those basic things in place. But you get those basic things in place month in and month out. We have a lot of people who all they do is use Quantum, and that's all they do after they've got the basic building blocks in place. So use it and then test. Do an article or 2 or 3, stack them, and then test and watch and see what happens. Remember, strategically, if you get your brain wrapped around, I need to do signal generation for rankings. And if I'm not seeing the bump in rankings, let me generate more signals. Let's make them authoritative. Let's make them quality. But nonetheless, let's generate those signals. All right. I don't think we have any more questions. If we don't have any more questions, then I'll end it. If anybody wants to unmute and come on, we can, give you we'll do one more call here, I guess, for questions. If not, we're done. And we thank you, William, for having us on, and we thank everyone else for their time tonight too.
Yeah, much appreciated, Lane, and we appreciate you guys coming on. Any questions? And we're gonna go ahead and get off here because we're a little bit past the time anyways, but we always go over. I've already uploaded the link and the information in the back end of the group and on the course, and then we're going to take this video. I'll upload it to YouTube as well. Like I said, if y'all need to get a hold of me, you know my email address. I have y'all's email, and just email me there. If you cannot get me in any groups or whatnot, like I said, email me or call me. Most of y'all have my phone number anyway, so.
Best strategy for GMB rankings is to stack 3 to 4 PRs. William, I'll let you answer this question.
The way I do it's kind of a similar way. We'll go over the GMB post because I use similar strategies with the GMB post as well. For instance, one of the things we'll do is we'll do an actual post or an actual press release, and then I'll always hyperlink the previous press release to the newest press release and do the same thing. You can do it as well in your GMB. I've only been using Quantum. I've probably known you, Lane, maybe just a few months, and I've only been using it for a short period of time. That short period of time, it's what's helping me change my red dots to green dots, and that's one of the many things I do with the cloud stacking and everything else I do. So.
To that end too, I'll show you guys, I forgot to do this, but on the live demo here. So, I showed you can bring in images, and obviously in the examples I showed you, we have images in here. This image you can see here, right here. If I click on this, it's going to open up the GMB listing, okay, right to a GMB post, okay? So what's happening here is this image right here, if I right click on it, I can copy this image address, all right? That image was a part of this post, right? So that GMB post and that image to that post is hosted on a Google domain, right? So if I open up incognito and just paste what I just copied, I guess it didn't, hang on. Copy image address. Let's open it up here. You see the URL up here is the googleusercontent.com domain, right? That's always going to be the case with every GMB image that you bring up, right? So on this GMB image, where to go? I copy the image address and then I go into Quantum, and I'll just show you down here. I'm not going to save it, but I'll show you. If I come down here, I'd center, justify it. I come down here to insert image, and I'm going to paste that source from the Google user content domain, and I save it, and there's that image right there. All right. Now what I can do is I can also come back and I can grab this link to that, copy that link, and I can come back here to this image. I'm going to tag this as an image, and then I'm going to insert a link, and I'm going to link that image right to that Google post and open it up in a new window. Always have your links open up in a new window because you don't want to bounce somebody off of the media site, right? Have it open up in a new window. And now I've got this image pulling in from the Google post and linking out to the Google post, okay? So then what that looks like in execution is this right here. This image right here and this image right here. This one is not linked. This one is linked. This image is also coming in from a GMB post, but you can bring in an image from a WordPress site or, other public, image libraries. But from an SEO standpoint and from a map pack ranking standpoint, I want to create another GMB signal. I create an image, a GMB image signal by pulling this image into Quantum and into Quantum here. And then this one we actually link out, and it creates a separate link. And if someone clicks that, now you got click-through rate to your GMB listing as well. So there's some really cool trickery things you can do with images that are GMB post images. You cannot use images that are these photos here, okay? If you go to these photos here, you cannot use these photos inside Quantum because they're not a public image. Google does something to obscure these images. They won't load. So you can't use these images, but GMB post images you can use all day long. All you got to do is bring up the post that you want to use or the image that you want to use, and then right click on it and copy that image address. And then that's the image address that you're going to put right inside Quantum. That's a great way to create, media rich content and also fire off more GMB signals. All right, guys, thanks for your time. I hope we'll see you on the inside. And okay, Matt's saying there's a few requests for the lifetime option to have a payment plan. Yes, we do have a payment plan for the lifetime option. We have a 10-pay plan at $450 a month. So if you want the 10-pay plan on the lifetime, email us at sales@quantumnewswire.com and we'll send you a direct link for that 10-pay plan. It's not public. Thanks, Matt, for reminding me. I forgot to mention that. So if you want the lifetime deal, but you want the payment plan on it, we have 10-pay at $450 per. I'm sorry. Yeah. $450 per month for 10 payments equals $4,500. And that's the only payment plan that we have, I think. But email us sales@quantumnewswire.com and then we'll get you hooked up for that 10-pay plan. And someone's asking, if I sign up for starter, can I upgrade in a few months to lifetime deal? Yes, you can do that at any time if you want to upgrade. Just understand that you'll be subject to the cost or the price of the lifetime deal when you decide to upgrade. So our price is going up as soon as we go live with our hosted media rooms. So just understand you'll be subject to the new prices. Great questions, great dialogue. William, thanks again. You guys have a great night.
Appreciate it. And talk to y'all guys later. I'll see the rest of you later. Email me if you need anything.
Sounds good. I'll drop this in one more time. Sales@Quantum Newswire, guys, for those questions that you still have. Have a good night.